Hi, hello everyone. I'm David, and thank you to join today's webinar. Um, I know everyone or most of the people are working from home right now, so we are launching a new webinar session this week. So every day we will have different topics. You can go on our Odoo experience to check on everyday's topics, and you can join whenever you like. So today we're going to talk about how to reduce the cost of supply chain. So we invite one of our best partner to join today's section, which will be Port City Singapore. So today we're going to go through some slides, and we have invited the expert from Port City Singapore to talk about today's topic, and then we'll invite another customer to join their success story. Meanwhile, in our presentation, you guys can feel free to jot down any questions in the Q&A box. And then after every presentations and interview, we'll have a Q&A section to answer all of your questions. So let's talk about today's presenters. We have Port City Singapore. Port City is one of our best partner in the world. They have many offices in different regions, and they are doing really great in APAC. So you can see that they have office around Vietnam, Singapore, Malaysia, Hong Kong, Australia, etc., etc. So today we invited the managing director Baptiste to join today's webinar and to be our presenters on this topic. So welcome, Baptiste.
Good morning, David.
Hi. So how are you lately?
Good.
Okay, so I'll hand the presentation to you, and you can give the audience a little bit of introduction of yourself.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I'm the managing director of Singapore. I am experienced into supply chain and digital. I have worked in different MNCs and SMEs before joining Port Cities lately.
Okay, so
So my previous experience, I've been also in charge of implementing different ERP such as SAP.
okay, thank you, Baptiste. So why are we talking about supply chain and digital today?
Okay. So I'm passionate about supply chain and digital, so I wanted to share a bit more because I see a lot of digital projects failing or not being able to deliver what it is intended. And so meaning that the supply chain and the different operation cannot be improved in the end. And it is especially true today because especially on the retail side with the consumers, we have many offers and many different services. And today the customer expects more and more from the supply chain because they want to be delivered, they want to choose the place they want to be delivered at what time, and we have to deliver it with the right quantity and the proper condition for the goods. So this means that with such a high expectation on the consumer side, we need to find a way to make the supply chain really with a high performance, and digital is one of the tools that will help to reach that.
Okay, so Baptiste, can you share more on the cost of supply chain?
Yes. So because here we focus on how to reduce the cost, what are the main costs on the supply chain? So these they are. So the first one would be the cost related to the forecast and planning. So this one is basically being able to have a reliable sales and operation planning, the SNOP. Um, and also being able, this would help you to manage your stock forecast and make sure you have the right amount of stock. On the procurement side, the cost is mainly related to being able to identify and choose the right supplier that can deliver the product to you with a correct quality at an affordable price. So meaning that choosing the wrong supplier can be also a source of additional cost because it will impact your performance, and it will impact also your operations. On the production side, so production costs mainly apply for the manufacturing company in particular. So production costs will increase if you're not able to properly manage the utilization of your assets or your machine, managing the workforce and the planning for the teams, and also being able to track the quality and to limit the rework. And last but not least is the cost of the warehouse operation. So meaning that if you want to have this efficient, you need to be able to have daily activity planning based on the incoming flow that you have, and make sure you can limit as much as possible the customer delivery mistakes, because this is one of the underestimated source of cost, because any mistake in the delivery will also lead to increase of the inventory, generate additional work for your team, and decrease your client satisfaction in the end.
Okay, that sounds a little bit complex. So how can you control and reduce these costs?
Okay. So to control and reduce this cost, one of the main concepts is to be able to have enough visibility on your supply chain, meaning that you need to have the proper data. So you need to know basically what's happening. And supply chain visibility is about having the reliable data to take the relevant decision at the right time. So this is one of the difficult things, because in principle it looks quite easy to have, but actually having reliable data is something which is quite difficult to achieve, and it's probably why in the KPMG report that we have here, we can see that two-thirds of the CEO asked during an interview say that they do not rely on the data provided. So now, how the data could help you reduce the cost, and what do you need to do to achieve that? So globally, having the visibility on your supply chain operation will help you to limit the cost on each of the cost center that we have discussed earlier on. So on the forecast and planning, it will help you to have a bit more visibility and improve forecasting accuracy, because you're able to know what are the consumption, and you're able to know what are the sales forecasts from your team. On the procurement side, it would also give you the possibility to improve your sourcing, because you will be able to analyze what the quality and the pricing from your different supplier, and make sure you take the correct decision for the sourcing. So this is basically improving by analyzing the past data. And on production side, basically the system would help you to also standardize the process and collect the different information along the way, so you can also identify any waste in term of process. And on the warehouse operation side, so basically you will see what are the demand planning, and being able to plan your daily activity for your team to meet the objectives and deliver according to the plan.
Okay, so that's plenty of benefits. So what are the success factors that make a digital project successful?
Okay, so just before I enter into the success factor for such a project, so getting the visibility on your supply chain is really about getting all this data into one place, and reliable data. So meaning that you need to have some data that you can consolidate. You also need to define how the data should be used. And then once you have the proper data, ability to run analysis or using analytics tool to help you taking for making the right decision. So for this, today there is plenty of solution, plenty of software that could help you achieve that. So all the software, the ERP, the warehouse management system, the transport management system, or inventory management system. So basically, we have the possibility to track everything today, and implementing such a tool would be the perfect answer to reduce your cost and have the visibility on your supply chain. But actually, it's not that easy because implementing a project, a digital project, might be difficult. This is what a consulting firm from Canada also remarks, as many others, is that a lot of digital projects are failing today. Why are they failing? If I would like to sum up, it's mainly because of the change management, which is not properly managed and the team is not onboarded. The second point would be the fact that the system that you want to implement is not in line with your expectation or cannot deliver your expectation. And the third one would be that the vendor that you have selected is not reliable to deliver what you intended to have. So this is why we wanted to share our not so secret recipe that made us deliver many digital projects successfully. And it's about three things. So the first one is the transformation project has to be led by the top management. So meaning that this should come from the top management of the company. It's not something that is driven by the team on the field, because we need to have a proper vision and an objective which is clear to implement such a project. And then management have to make sure that the decision and the objectives are shared within the company and the team is properly involved. So in terms of change management, some of the principles we use are from the Kotter approach, meaning that a good way to onboard the team is to make them understand the urge of changing, meaning that it's not a project that we would like to have over 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. We want to have something that is working quick and it's really important for the company and the future of the company. One tip we often share with our clients is that we want them to identify some leaders for the change, meaning some single point of contact within the company that will be identified as the change leader, so the other team can refer to them and they can also be within the project to share some communication and also collect feedback from the team if anything is not correct. So then the next thing is being able to identify a reliable solution. So as I said previously, there is plenty of solution on the market, and it's sometimes difficult to choose which one is the one that could answer your needs. So for this, if you have the possibility to have some testimonial with some clients using the solution, or the possibility to have some demo, so basically you need to make sure that the solution that you're going to implement is able to fit your current needs and the functionality that you expect to have. And on the second hand, you also try to make sure that this is able to support your future growth. So meaning that if you have some plan of expanding your company or developing new activities, you need also to consider this, because usually once we choose a digital solution, we probably going to stick with it for at least the 3 to 5 years coming. So you need to make sure that this solution will be able to meet the requirement and future and support your growth. So the last point here is about the partner. So being able to identify a reliable partner, because once you have identified your solution, you have different possibility. Even either you can do the implementation on your own with your own team, but you need to have some expertise and knowledge about the system. So that's why most of the time companies prefer to rely on external partner that will help them to do the implementation, because external partners are supposed to be experienced and expert within the solution they want to implement. And also implementation always require extra workload for the implementation. And most of the company, that's why most of the company prefer to get this outsourced by a partner for the implementation.
Okay.
So
Baptiste, I need to jump in a little bit. So I see you mentioned choosing the right partner, right?
mhm.
So Positive is the gold partner. You guys have so much experience. Can you share more on like what did you do differently than other partners, or what did you do to involve the customers?
Okay. So involving the customers at the beginning of the project, during the kickoff of the project, basically, we need to establish what would be the organization of the project and what would be the different person accountable for the project. Meaning that we are supposed to have one project managers and some key users for the different the different verticals we want to implement the software in. We need to make sure that we have the commitment as well from the steering committee on the customer side, that this person will be accountable for the project implementation within the company. So we are sure that we can rely on these people and that they are involved into the project, and we are sharing a common objective on our side and on the customer side to make sure the project is delivered and is working. Then what make us different from maybe some other partners is that in terms of implantation in the different countries. So as you can see at the beginning, we have most of our technical team based in Indonesia and in Vietnam, and we are implemented in many other countries such as Singapore, Malaysia, Japan, or Mexico, because we think it's really important to have some of the project manager and a business analyst to be on site, to be within the country. It's a bit less true with the current COVID situation, but at least we need to be on the same time zone, and this would help us to communicate with the customer and to understand what's their expectation. So this is why at Port Cities we are established in many countries, and we try to expand as soon as we have new projects. Another thing in terms of choosing a partner is also about being able to check if the partner you want to go with have some experience in your industry, because all industry have their own specificities, and it's always easier to communicate with a partner if they have already done a project which is with the same kind of industry. They are also familiar with all the acronyms and the terms that you may have. And the last but not least is about the methodology and the expertise into the implementation. So this one is really important because it's not only about developing the system. We need to have the right methodology to collect the requirements, and then to make sure that these are the things that are developed when it's required. And then the acceptance phase will really check against this requirement to make sure that the system can go live and we are not missing any important points. So for the methodology, the key person on our side will be the project manager. So the project manager role is to have an overview, a global planning, what we call a master schedule of the project, with a time frame for each of the different tasks, and being able to review this on a weekly basis. I think this is also quite important, the pace, meaning that whatever the size of the project, at least we review all the project planning and the different action on a weekly basis. It helps us to be more proactive and to have a faster pace to make sure we can take the correct decision, because um, a project doesn't go as planned all the time. We just need to make adjustment and make sure that we can deliver based on what has been required initially. So these are the few points that we think allow to have a digital project successfully delivered. So it's about the change management, being able to identify the correct solution, and more importantly, being able to identify the partner that you can rely on, and that will help you maintain and support your system.
Sounds great.
Okay. So now I think it's time to share about experience and the projects we have been delivered for the company named Actis. So today we have Jan Barry with us. He's the CEO of the Actors Group. So Actors provide service in the procurement and supply chain industries. And as they have been significantly expanding over the last year, they decided to go from accounting system into a fully integrated ERP with Odoo. Okay. So David, I know you had a few questions for Jan. Jan, are you here?
Yes, I am. Hi, Baptiste.
Hello, Yan. This is David.
Hello, David.
So, thank you for joining us. It's always great to hear the story on the other side. So, actually, yes, I do have a bunch of questions to ask you. And to begin our interview, I would like to know why did you decide to implement ERP and why did you choose Odoo?
Okay. So the main reason why we decided to implement an ERP, as Baptiste explained, is we have been experiencing quite a fast growth over different sites in Asia Pacific, and the system we were having was showing quite a few limitations, both on the operation, which would be supply chain and procurement, mainly for what we do, as well as finance. Mainly there was limitation in terms of the capability of the previous system to take into account different kind of taxations.
Okay, so how about why did you choose Odoo?
So the reason we chose Odoo was pretty much pragmatic. We did a survey of the different solutions which were available on the market. So obviously it does not take long before names such as SAP or Sage come into the picture. But those tools, from my previous experience with a very large multinational company, those tools are very efficient when you reach a certain level of business, and this was way too heavy or unnecessary for the stage where we are in the growth. And I do believe that it will be way too big for the next 10 years, at least for us. Odoo, however, allowed us to meet our expectations in terms of the things we wanted to see, easiness of operations, faster access to data which we required, and was quite a flexible system.
Okay, that's great to hear. Thank you, Yan. So I have to ask, besides good looking, why did you choose our Baptiste team to be your partner?
I'm sorry, David, but that's the main reason. Now, more seriously, the reason we chose Baptiste and the team, of course, was the references of both Baptiste and the team. There was a direct, in terms of the project manager which was working with us, there was a direct, I would say, experience sharing in the sense that he knew directly what we were talking about. So it was, we didn't have to explain everything we do in order for him to understand. So, and also, so maybe I'm going a bit too fast here. So this is the reason why we chose, but the reason why we chose to remain later on with Baptiste and the team is because of the proactivity, I would say the approach they have is in tackling the issues you face during the implementation or later on. So of course, during a change from any system to an ERP, some things will happen in the process, and we were very satisfied with the way that the team managed to anticipate those issues before we even had to ask.
I see. Oh, okay. So, what were the benefits or disadvantages of the implementation?
Okay. So the benefits from a direct perspective were, of course, improved operational process. We managed to speed up some time in the way we do things. So since our team internally was doing the operations and is doing the operations faster, by improving the efficiency, you basically improve your cost as well as your profit. Also, it's a bit easier for us because we tend to have a consolidated finance team in Singapore and we operate in around 6 different countries. So having an ERP which allows to somehow automatize the taxation and financial part made it a lot easier. Some of the disadvantages, I would say, probably getting the team to follow. I mean, it's human nature to be reluctant to change. So that was one of the disadvantages. It took a bit of time to bring everybody on board. And then, I mean, being an ERP, then of course you have a different approach than a system. But so far, no major disadvantages, to be honest.
Well, good to hear. So, what results or improvement did you gain?
Like I said, it'd be improvement in efficiency and therefore improved bottom line on the P&L.
Okay, so what would you recommend to other companies that are implementing ERP digital project too?
Probably one of the mistakes that we made during the initial study phase was to want to move a bit too fast. And we did not probably go into all details initially. Although we think we covered a lot, but we came to realize later on some things which were maybe overlooked. So the main thing about an ERP implementation for any SME, of course, is the cost, the initial cost, which can seem a bit, which can seem substantial. But I think it probably would be wise to take a little step back at the beginning in order for later on to ensure not having any surprises.
Okay, I see. Well, that's pretty much everything I need to know. To be honest, your experience is great, and I'm so happy to hear that you are having a wonderful experience with Odoo and Positives. So, if any of the audience have questions for us, while Yan and Baptiste is here, please feel free to raise your questions in the chat box, and I'll check if there's any questions. I think we here can try to answer it for you. So, any of you have questions? Okay, so hey, Um, right now, actually, today is our first day come back to work in Hong Kong. Because Odoo Asia office is now located in Hong Kong. If any one of you don't know about that, so today is actually the first day I come back to work. Can Baptiste share a little bit about what's the situation on your side now?
So in Singapore, the situation has been improving over the last months. The lockdown in Singapore has been finished early June, and since beginning of July, we some of the company are able to return to the office if it's required to run the business.
Okay, so actually, I think our audience would also like to know in such a pandemic situation, what's the best solution that your company can offer to the customer?
So into this situation, there is two things that we need to adjust. The first one is for the existing projects. So being able to continue delivering the project, being 100% remotely, but using the tools such as Google Meet or Zoom, we have been able to manage quite efficiently um, the delivery of the project. Actually, we are also used to work with our centers, technical centers in Indonesia and in Vietnam. So, having said that, we were actually always working remotely with our internal team. So we just applied the same things with the customer, and it worked well so far. Then the second point would be what we could bring in term during this pandemic. So we were a bit afraid at the beginning that the business might slow down during this period, but surprisingly it did not, because some of the company, even though it's not obvious, took actually this opportunity with less business and less activity to invest into digital, because basically the team were less busy with the operations. So we have been able to start a new project during this period. And one of the things we started also is the implementation of the e-learning, Odoo e-learning. Our customer can share with their team easily about the rules and what need to be shared information about what are the new process and the new standard within the employee.
Okay, so one of our audience want to know mo- one of the audience want to know some more specific cases about how Odoo can help to lower the cost of supply chain operation. Do you have anything to share with us, Baptiste?
Okay. One of the case that we have seen is the implementation we have done with Jan for Acteus. So meaning that we usually implement the software. So from the collection of the order through the procurement, the sourcing, the management of the inventory, and the customer delivery, all the flow are managed directly into a single system. So we have been doing the similar kind of implementation with different customers here in Singapore, whether it is on the distribution side or for some trading companies.
Okay, thank you, Baptiste. Okay, we have another question from Jason. So Jason is a laptop seller. They sell new and used laptops, B2B and B2C. So they
Okay.
want to launch an e-commerce for their B2C customers. And they are deciding between Odoo and Shopify. Okay. So he would like to know our thoughts on that. Personally, I would suggest you to use Odoo, of course, because we are a ERP solution as a whole. So you don't only have the functions for e-commerce. You can also use for your accounting and your order procurement, supply chain, everything. You can do it on one single software. And but of course, we can hear out what Baptiste think and what project can they share with us.
Yeah. So then, e-commerce on B2B and especially B2C, I think both Odoo and Shopify are a viable solution. Over the last version of Odoo, we have seen that there is some improvement to manage e-commerce websites, which is a good sign. But some of the specialized layers, such as Shopify, are quite advanced if you have some specific needs for design. But having said that, this is only one of the points because the real strength of Odoo is that, as David mentioned, it is connected with your ERP system. So it means that every time you have a sales, this will be registered into your system. All the invoices and the inventory will be also automatically updated, and you don't need to have some extra data exchange or API to develop with external system. And on the long run, I would say that having that would save quite a lot of money because developing API with other softwares costs some money for the implementation. And it also takes some time for your team to monitor that this interface and these data exchanges are working correctly.
Great. So do we have any other questions? Okay, so let me see. Okay, so I don't think we have any more new questions. Thank you very much, Yang, for your interviews today. We're so happy to have one of our customers to share their success story. And thank you again, Baptiste, for joining the webinar. And don't worry, if you guys have any other questions, you can always reach us. You can always reach me or reach Baptiste. So I hope we have another chance to share more stories with you guys. And meanwhile, please take care and check on our website for more webinar sections. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
David.
Take
I'm
care.
glad we could share some knowledge, and I hope it could help the attendee to get some tips for the implementation of the project. And I'll also take the opportunity to thank Jan from Acteus to share his feedback. And lastly, if you guys have any question, you can just get in touch with me.
Okay, thank you all. Okay, bye bye.